Hi. I'd really like to monetize what I'm doing right now, and so it's like, well, what am I doing exactly? What would I like to sell? And it's kind of like I'm in perceptible, direct contact with truth, just like everybody else is, and like sort of all ascended whatever, right? But for me, that just happens to be like I noticed that it's the body water, and so that the body water is surrounding all things at that strange philosophical. Are we living in a matrix, or like where's the with our thoughts and our perceptions and all that? We know that all that perceptual activity of the neurons and the metabolism and the breath and everything that keeps me alive is held inside of water, right? So all of this, everything that I'm seeing, my body, everything is at very least an electrical movement through water around the body structure, kind of acting as power lines. Like there's something like that going on, at least at one level. And then there's another level where it's obviously like it goes from that mysterious pattern to this experience. And I don't think you can go much further than that, but like in terms of figuring out the material realm, we do know that all perception is held in water, in the body water. Like the life is happening here, right? So around the perception, you can get your perceptions inside of the water, and that's the exact same thing as getting the perception inside of your awareness. As you put your mind on things, like as you get around stuff, it's moving the activity into the awareness that's moving it into the water. And the water is awareness. And so like when you realize that, it's like all these perceptions, all of these thoughts, all of these things that we have, from like galaxies to the whatever, they're all connected by water, at least at one level. And so you can connect two different things that you feel are disconnected. Like like if you feel disconnected from something, or you feel like these two things are disconnected, that causes anxiety and unskillful behavior. And so they're connected in a lot of different ways. Everything's connected in a million different ways, and like mysterious beyond me. Like I'm not by any means an expert on anything, but I do know that any thought, any perception, any location, any experience is bridged by water. It's connected to everything else in the body and the awareness by water. And so like you can at least make the initial connection, and you know that any other connections are going to be happening, through or parallel or in resonance with this fluidic connection. And there's no way to I don't think there's any way to get around that. So it's got a lot of different you can put any activity you want in contact with your awareness or in contact with truth. So it's like I like to keep this from getting too crazy, and it's like that's really useful for movement. Because the truth of the matter is that you are in that you're in that fluidic field. That's your primary posture. So your primary posture just needs to learn how to be floating in awareness. Right, and then when you feel that, when you embody that, like you don't have bones exactly, right? You have neural so you have activity of the awareness that's inside of the awareness, and then that's the bone. And so the bone itself is always floating. The perceptions that you have are always floating in water if you have the awareness around them. And when they're floating in water, that's where you can take advantage of currents in the water. That's where you can take advantage of the buoyancy of the water, right? The water is awareness. And so then all of a sudden, instead of having a heel bone, like in the sense of like I have to move the heel bone to the floor, I'm moving the heel bone through the water. And at very minimum, it makes things smooth, complete, like you have complete movement to where there's no gaps. Why are there no gaps? Is because everything's filled in with awareness physically, so there's no gaps between anything. It's like the nature of water. So as you study water, you can start to learn how to have your mind operate and act this way naturally, and this is the primary level of like problem solving. So how do you monetize that exactly, right? Because you can do things in the pool, you can do things in water, you can do things in awareness to study how your awareness works, right? And there's all sorts of like pool studying stuff to where that's how your awareness works, and then you can take it out and be like, my awareness is operating this way, right? And then you just have to feel it, see it, and learn how to surf it or go with it or figure out how to get it moving. Right, so this is the found nature. Like I've tested this. Like I've gone up against, like not gone up against, but like moved around with like intellectuals, like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu stuff. Like I don't never practice that in my life. And you touch them, they go, "Oh, you're very good." And it's like, yeah, and I can see all the principles, and I have the awareness doing it, like in the envelope. You know, I guess I've sort of tested this. It's real. It works. And so it's relatively easy to learn how to spot like what's going on with any sort of like knee pathology or a disease or an illness or any of the things that I see kind of monetized on the internet. It's right. It's all the problems are monetized. So if you're wondering like why is this part not operating the right way? Why is the problem the way that it is? I can guarantee you that if you see how water is connecting it in the body, you see how the water is connecting the problem to you, then you'll see how the problem is connected to everything else and all that other, like the lens. Water is the lens through which you see the connectivity of the world. So it's like, oh, why? And you go, why can't I do a one-arm handstand? Or like, why don't I look the way that I want to look? Right? All these things are problematized. Why do I have the illness that I have? And if you're like curious about any of that stuff, you can use water to figure it out. And that's simultaneously when they're saying you can use your awareness to figure it out. And so I guess there's a ton of people that have made this claim all the time, right? It's like very, in yoga or whatever, they're like, oh, why are you well, so I like it. There's all sorts of stuff you can kind of do. I just like it because it fundamentally you end up like I'm swimming. And then you approach the world from the standpoint of, swimming. Rather than from the standpoint of being an object in space. You're an event or a pattern in awareness, floating in awareness. And so, and then I think for people with like massive problems where this is like a big deal, or where these issues, you can't get your awareness around yourself, you can literally just use a long snorkel, especially with like a nose face mask, to go into awareness, and whatever's going on, it'll force you to be completely aware of yourself at minimum. And so then you get the correct breath, the correct vision, the correct anything else. And it's like any sort of issue that's solved or any sort of issue that's caused from like not having the correct perception of the self or the correct internal proprioception, or anything having to do with like, oh, why is this problem here? It's because I don't have my awareness around the whole issue. You just go and get in a thing of water and breathe through a snorkel, and your awareness is around yourself and your breath, and you just, whatever, 20 minutes twice a day, 30 minutes, use it as a treatment. It's like forced, instant, like I've never been this deep before other than like out of Vipassana. You know, it's usually some sort of crazy event to be that fully encapsulated and deep into the awareness. It's hard to do that in the body because of all the attachments and everything's like pulling us out. It's hard to go into that. But if you just use water itself to go in there and breathe, in terms of taking these like therapeutic, metabolic changing breaths that everyone's trying to chase in exercise or pranayama, or you know, how do I it's just use a snorkel and it's all accomplished. Just like if you pick up a sword, the hitting hard is accomplished. It's just gonna happen. You don't have to like study for a gazillion years to figure out how to get the knuckles to strike or whatever. And so, yeah, I think if that has any, I feel like there's, like, if there's money in solving problems, then I want all of the money, because it solves all of the problems. And I don't think I'm exaggerating. I think other people have discovered the same thing. It's just when you realize how integral water is to that discovery of the same thing, it makes a lot of stuff really obvious and way easier to talk about. I don't know, what sort of bullshit exercise do you guys want to learn how to do a like thing? I can't do. I'm a swimmer, right? I got into the trades, so to fit in, I started to try and do nicotine. Because some bros on the internet, like, what's his name? Who's main bro? Dude, this is all natural. I might be like too skinny, like a svelte dolphin, but no TRT. Like an Auschwitz victim. Guess how much ab work I do? None. I just swim through existence and let the water carve my body like a stone carved by a river. Right? Literally, you want a good body? Here, get the awareness to rush over the body as if every part that you want sculpted and shaped. Just get the awareness to move around it, and as the water rushes past it, the harder it pushes on it and the more it goes past it. So obviously, if you wanted to go jogging, right, as I run down the street, I'm trying to get the awareness to go past all the fat and the lard and the ass. I want the awareness to rush into all that crap. And then that pressure of awareness will carve my body like water carves a stone. So you have to be persistent. But the end result, especially if you insert your entire body into the stream, the end result is whatever. kind of like a swimmer or gymnast body. And so when you analyze like what makes somebody good, whatever, it's not exactly anything outside, it's their orientation, their posture in relationship to all the energy. It's like what makes it, which sailboat wins. And it's like you could go, oh, it's kind of like this difference or whatever. It's but whoever had their mast and their rudder like 2 degrees more accurate, the boat sailed immensely faster. And that's how it is with genetics. Everything else, people that are like worried about their genetic potential and crap like that is like trying to spray a slicker coating on the hull, or like have a slightly bigger sail or something like that, when your genetics is there. And if you learn how to tack into the awareness, that orientation towards correctness, or the orientation towards truth, or the orientation towards water, it determines 99.9999% of if a gene or if a quality or if a trait is good or bad. It has nothing to do with the trait. If it catches wind, if it catches current, then it's the most beautiful trait ever. That's the only thing people are going for. And anything can catch it. Right? You just freeze and poof. But yeah, whatever problem you're working on in life, like literally anything, like if you integrate if you look at how water is connecting that to yourself and how it's connecting it to other perceptions and stuff, just structurally, mechanically, like how it's flowing through the body, what sort of electrical activity is bordering it, what sort of electrical activity is moving through it, what sort of bags the awareness is in, what sort of categories and separations and divisions is the water making as it, holds this perception that you're having, it holds this idea. If you see how that idea is held by water, that gives you information on how that perception connects with the world at large. And like granted, I'm doing it, but it's a method. It's a way you can easily build, using water. You can build the knowledge base that normally has taken people until this point 10-20 years of like super dedicated study. Just like with a wheel or with a stick or anything, you're able to, as if you understand the tool, if you understand the implement, you are stronger and more powerful than all the monkeys that don't understand it, basically. So if you understand awareness, if you understand water as a tool of awareness and what you can do with water, not just baptize, not just drink, right, not just bathe, but you can use water as a tool to amplify your awareness. And suddenly you're comprehending things and you're building neural pathways that normally take you'd have to be a big wave surfer or a crazy parkour athlete or a super dedicated yogi, or these extremes where people kind of figure out these things by putting themselves in these like all-encompassing situations. You can use water to recreate and get those all-encompassing like neural pathways. Like water is doing everything. Water is doing every human activity ever and all the activities of nature. So if you can learn how to look into that, people like Victor Shutter, there's other people that have like tapped into this. Like lots of people have discovered like water's a big deal. And so it's a big deal. Like this can take out all sorts of different industries that are like dependent on ignorance. You can flood all that crap with water. It's the insight that destroys industries of illusion, industries of ignorance. If genuinely it's a method by which somebody within a span of 5, 6, 7 hours can have the proprioceptive knowledge of of a lifelong student of some discipline or other. Like what water can give that basic, water can give somebody the wisdom of like, how do you operate an entire ecosystem? It's like, it's in there, it's inside of everybody, and everybody's looking into it when they find these things. But nobody's saying like, oh, this materialistically is the conduit by which people pull their insight and their understanding of anything. It's just like awareness is the conduit by which we understand anything. Water is parallel to that. Like everything that everyone's ever said about awareness, water is at very least running materialistically parallel to it. So you might have a non-physical awareness thing that's like I'm not talking about. Well, water is definitely stuck to that like a magnet. And so yeah, I don't know what you know. This is it's a thing. I've been trying to say to everybody it's a thing for a long time, and driving me crazy. You know, one person can only be so smart before they go insane. What else do we want to know? How to do whatever, stay underwater. Have your awareness go first. Have your awareness support your endeavor. That's how you do anything. Anything that you can get to. It's like, do a handstand. I can't do a handstand. There it is. So that's super useful. If you want to do headstand work, you just gotta be here and you need to feel, you need to feel that even in this position or even in this posture, you're still grounded and you're still totally supported by awareness. And if you've ever been into a posture, it's like you don't know how the awareness is there or where it is or how to give yourself over to it. So you have to spend time in the unfamiliar posture so that the posture becomes something in your awareness. And then that's why different postures get easier over time. And then it's the same thing with like thought. Like if you have some philosophical problem, or like what are people trying to do when they speak or they write? They're trying to cause a linguistic like structure in somebody's head to like resonate or to what are you doing? What are you doing in water when you have a thought and then you're trying to transmit that thought to somebody else? The means by which you transmit the thought intellectually is much, much more important than what you're transmitting, right? The external shell, you could say like, oh, what did the master teach the students? And it's like, oh, all of these things. But that went on the external pathway, and the actual teaching was the direct connection. The direct connection was the actual teaching. And then that direct connection was what was reinforced and whatever with the words. And then if that connection's not there and you just read the words, it doesn't matter. Because it's the sub-connection. So it's the relationship. But people you go, yeah, okay, yeah, you need to go, like, and you have a relationship with water. Everyone has a relationship right there, but the relationship has to be with the water. That's the direct connection. The relationship has to be to the awareness. And if you have that, then you would want to be facilitating you would see the energy involved in the relationship of tradition and direct transmission and all of that unspoken stuff, right? So you can have like the Protestants are right, if everybody's made of water or whatever, everybody has Christ or whatever, but the river exists. The baptismal font exists, so it's like the lineage and the organizations, or the organisms exist, the nations exist, the races exist, and they transmit information between each other that can't be known through any other means. Even if you're capable of looking inward and knowing it by whatever this direct means of water, right? Like I don't want to start a tradition, but it's a no tradition, and then it's also the tradition still exists. Go to the traditions. Like go to the traditions. Go to the things that existed before you knew about the water, before you knew about yourself. It's like the traditions and the ancestries and stuff all exist. But yeah, I mean, basically Dragon Ball Z is real, and the healing chambers are real. And if you're super broke, you gotta spend time in a healing chamber. But if you're totally healed, like, which means your awareness is like a coherent sheath, then you naturally have yogic powers that you can strengthen. And if you don't have those, it's just because you need to spend time in the healing tank underwater. And if you spend enough time in the healing tank underwater, then boom, your energy system, your awareness is complete, and then everyone's got, you know, the ability to solve problems again. The reason nobody's solving any problems is because their awareness isn't coherent. You know, it's all. It's not like it's not a super complex problem. All the healthcare stuff is not a super complex problem. It's just an inappropriate relationship with, not inappropriate, but a lacking relationship with water. People go, oh, well, you're missing your relationship with God. Of course, if you're missing your relationship with water, you're missing your relationship with God. And then there's all these God-forsaken problems. That everyone's trying to like put out with whatever, ingenuity, just like flood the thing. It worked last time. Just flood it with awareness. Right? So if you want to flood everything with awareness, figure out how to get your awareness to be like water. So breathe in the water tanks, rehabilitate that, and then anywhere you go brings a flood of insight. And then boom, the whole thing is washed away in insight. All thanks to water. Yay, water! You were here the whole time. Sorry, we didn't realize how special you were. Really cool. Thanks, water.